What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to our channel. We are your hosts, the Distorted Theorists, and today we are joined by, well, an honorary theorist, if you will, Chase Masterson.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for letting us do this. It's really fun that it's real cool and all, but you just kind of...
You joined us and gave us some time.
No, thank you very much for having me. I've got a question. What about Distorted Theorists? Where did you get that name?
You're just going to lead in with the question?
I am.
We ask the questions later.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Well, I mean, it's fair. We're going to ask her a question. She can ask us a question. It kind of started of us always... We watch a lot of movies, video games, television, into all the pop culture. And we always theorize about what character is going to rise. Is Deadpool going to show up in the new Avengers movie? Or is this video game going to have a sequel? And we're always crazy with it and go down rabbit holes that we should never go down.
I love that.
So when we started the channel, we just started talking about, theories. But what kind of theories? The confused theory where and distorted just kind of sounded cool. And a logo looks sick. And here we are.
Does.
It's a mouthful, but it works. It fits on a shirt well.
But Chase Masterson is joining us at Sci-Fi on the Rock 2025. And Peter, I know you've been waiting for this for a very long time because we've been talking about this for weeks now. What do you want to say to the lady?
Well, obviously, thanks for taking the time to do this. I know I was joking earlier, but it's great because whenever we're able to do these things, it humanizes everyone because whenever we approach, we're like, hi, we're interested to do this. But then it becomes so much easier because when we do the interviews along with the panels, it's just like, oh yeah, they're just like us.
Yeah.
And it's... So from that perspective, obviously, thanks so much. But you have many claims of fame. You've had an extensive acting career, and some people here would say, I guess one of your more famous roles would be Leeta from Deep Space Nine, and she's I'm going to say this wrong, Dabo girl.
She's here to correct us.
I know that's part of it.
All good.
So, but. Again, we asked Garrett Wong, who was on earlier from Voyager, where does Deep Space Nine fit into the whole Star Trek continuity?
Yeah.
So Deep Space Nine was, well, obviously it's the third Star Trek after TOS, Next Gen, and then Deep Space Nine. And it had a really interesting rollout because it was thanks to Michael Pillard, who is since passed, and thanks to Ira Stephen Bear, who is our showrunner and executive producer. This was the first serialized show on television. And it really was a big thing because having a serialized show where you basically have to tune in every week in order to keep a through line of what's happening, that places a lot of faith in your audience. That means we trust you
to show up.
Right. Okay. And not like now when they just dump all 10 episodes on a Netflix series.
It's not just, well, that's true. And more on that in a second. But it really was, when something is episodic and you can watch one episode, you can watch the next or not, you can watch the next one or not, then it's an easier show to keep track of. But Deep Space Nine, as I said, trusted its audience and relied on it that you would come back. Yeah. And that places a lot of focus on the showrunner to deliver those stories in a compelling way.
And it did because it's the legacy people still remember. Like when I was young, like I'm not a Trekkie. I'm more into Star Wars, but I still...
There, he said it.
Yeah, there we got it out of the way. But we recognize, obviously, the legacy of Star Trek for sure, because like when I was little, like I remember The Next Generation being on because once Mom was finished with her shows, The Next Generation would come on, so I would recognize the music. So I kind of got it from that point. And I remember seeing little pieces of Voyager at a time, but I wouldn't know the difference between that and Deep Space Nine. But I do remember that there were a lot more. I could recognize that it was Deep Space Nine from the more Ferengis.
Yes, Ferengi.
That was how I knew it was Deep Space Nine. But at the age of like 7, I was like, I don't know. It was a space
I want to say,
station.
I love how she's humbling you and all your mispronunciations.
Perfect, because again,
it's okay. You didn't watch, did you? It's okay. It's okay.
I knew some.
It's all right. It's okay. No. Interestingly, Ira Stephen Bear told us in the 5th season, he said, I know that this show is going to be more popular when streaming starts to be a thing because that's when people will be able to watch it in succession rapidly.
And binge it.
So it was interesting.
And then, of course, you get the, DVD, VHS release of the whole season, then someone who may be newly introduced to the show who didn't watch it on TV, or maybe they're a new Trekkie, they could now, like you said, binge watch from a different perspective. Now it's all online, of course. But
Paramount Plus is...
I don't know. Listen, I still got VHSs, okay?
I
There,
still
I said
got
it,
mine.
okay?
It's all good.
Right?
I still got my James Bond pack.
Yeah, I got like the
Okay.
Titanic and Pearl Harbor double pack.
There.
But one thing I was excited to talk about, and I kind of alluded to it off screen when I pointed at your picture, is I know you want to keep talking about Star Trek, but I just got to get my Flash in. Okay, so I don't know if you kept up on the Arrowverse shows as much as I did, but the Flash was like top tier. So may I ask, like, how did you come into getting that role, like for season 1 episode, correct?
Yeah.
And did you pursue that? Was it something maybe your agent tossed you? Like, I just want to know the process, I guess.
Interesting. That role and the role of Leeta on Deep Space Nine were both written for me.
Oh, okay.
And
Still had to audition, though, didn't you?
Long story. I did have to audition,
Mm.
yes. But it's funny, I mean, it really can be a really small town.
Yeah.
And the showrunner at that point was a good friend who I'd met through other friends, and he just said, "Hey, you should be on my show."
Okay.
And I said, "Okay." And so.
And was that for the Flash or the Star Trek?
That was for The Flash.
Oh, okay.
For Star Trek, I actually met the for the casting director, Ron Surma. I met him at one of those pay-to-meet showcases where you pay like $30 and then they may bring you in for an audition. Once they know your work, they're like, hey, she could work. Let's bring her in.
Yeah.
And so I went in for one role that I didn't get, but I got down to the final 2. And off of that audition, they wrote the role of Leeta for me.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Like, and that's stuff like we don't see behind the scenes. So it's interesting to know how I guess stuff progresses to find, like, beyond, like, maybe there never was a Leeta, but because you had stepped through that door, did your audition, they're like, we need to use her somewhere. Where can we?
That's what they said.
She's got the moxie. We got to put her in.
Thank you. I mean, I guess part of it is just keeping on doing the work, even though you have no idea what's ahead. Just keep working hard. Yeah.
So I know when you were on the set for The Flash, obviously your scene revolved around Officer West and Cisco. Yeah. But like, did you get a chance to be around? I'm sorry, I'm totally spacing. I want to say Augustus Grant. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Grant is lovely.
Yeah.
What a good person and fun. And everybody in that cast was really warm and welcoming. Absolutely loved working with Jesse Martin. And
I guess I was just wondering, like, when you're in such a scene that you're working with those 2 actors, do you get to see everyone else? Like, or because I mean, there could be a different set somewhere else that this is going on, but you're working with these, so you may never see the Flash. You know what I mean?
It depends on who's working that day. What else they're doing. So, but yeah, it was a good couple of days.
And do you ever in the fandom, I guess, do you ever show up to a set like that and you're doing your job? They're already on the season as regulars, and then they're like gushing over you because they're like, "Oh my god, I'm working with Chase today." Like,
it's Leeta.
I mean, Cisco's is a little younger generation, so I don't know where, and then Officer West obviously is the older generation. So I'm wondering, like, who was watching the show when you were in it and stuff like that.
I think everybody has a pretty working knowledge of who's coming on and what they've done. You just make it your business to find out. Of course, I was a huge fan of Jussy is an amazing actor, and his work in Rent was just phenomenal. And obviously SVU and everything else that he's done. Not SVU, Law and Order.
One of them.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
There's so many. There are.
Thousands of episodes.
Almost like there's as many Star Treks. No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway, it's a pretty small town.
Yeah.
And I guess you can say that about any business as long as you just really keep working hard. That's what I would leave with you guys most of all, is that you just got to keep working at what you want to do.
But it's like a community, which is nice.
Well, yeah, and that's the biggest thing about all these conventions, because I mean, in terms of cosplay, I always try and focus on the cosplay at these events, because it's so nice to see people come out of their shell as someone else, but they're like, this is what I made and all that stuff.
Yeah, cosplay has really given a lot of fans the chance to be creative and shine.
Do you ever see Leeta cosplays?
There is Leeta cosplay.
Is there? Okay. Because I mean, like, for some of them, like,
cosplay,
that got to be like somewhat of a deep cut for a cosplay.
It's pretty cool, but there's a few that come back, and it's really nice. And a lot of Adorans that come out on days that we're around. So anyway.
So with your career, like, obviously, like, we're talking about The Flash and Star Trek and whatnot, but like, you've worked on other things, and you've worked with some incredible people as well. Like, just before we were talking about Mark Hamill. You've worked with the chin with the man attached, Bruce Campbell. You've worked with so many people across like this varied career. So like, besides like Star Trek and The Flash, like, are there any highlights, or are there opportunities that you just absolutely like, I have to work with this person? Or
I've been pretty lucky not to really have to think I have to, just to come across some amazing people. working with Mark Hamill was wonderful. I worked with him on Robotech, but also he directed me as myself in Comic Book the Movie. And there's a funny story about that. And Mark is just a really great guy who's very good at his job. I mean, just directing and acting. I mean, besides being a superstar.
Any bouncing off your question, just again, it's coming to me. Any missed opportunities that maybe you went for, never got, and you were like, oh, I wish I had nabbed that one.
I could have been in the Matrix, kind of.
Yeah, you know, or whatever.
Really,
just curious.
No, I mean, who knows what opportunities we miss? We don't know.
Fair.
We can't spend our lives thinking about those. One opportunity I had, which was really wonderful, which was for Comic Book the Movie. I sat on a panel next to Stan Lee.
Oh.
And
calm down, Peter. Calm
it
down.
was crazy. So Stan and I sat on the panel together and just really hung out and got along. And then they had a dinner that night, and I also sat next to Stan at the dinner. And he was the sweetest man, and in the most benign grandfatherly way, he said to me, "Come and sit on my lap. Come here." And I did, and it was like just incredibly just grandfatherly and sweet. So I did, and I didn't want to break him. So I sat in my own chair.
He's a frail man.
He was.
Afterward,
God rest his soul.
He said, "So what are you doing, Red?" He called me Red. And I said, "I don't know. What are you doing, Stanley?" And he said, "Let's take a walk." So he and his friend Gil, his business partner, and I walked the streets of Comic-Con. And he was singing this song, "What a day it has been, what a rare mood I'm in." Well,
I can't wait for karaoke now.
It's like being in love. And then we hung out. And sorry to go on about it, but we went up to this party at the top of the Hyatt and couldn't get in because it was closing. And I was like,
Stan Lee.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't let us in. So we all just went and hung out like until like 2:00 in the morning, telling each other stories and had a wonderful time.
Can you imagine turning around Chase Masterson and Stan Lee
away?
Yeah,
no,
well, these
not
people,
today.
they needed to get home. So anyway, that's one of my fondest memories. And every time I saw him after that, he was warm and welcoming. He gave me a huge hug.
Sorry if I missed, what point in your career was that?
That was, I guess, maybe 2015.
Okay.
Anyway, so, but when you get right down to it, our humanity is the only thing we've got. That is what makes these stories. That is what makes our connections with each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes life worth living. And so, of course, we're all alike. It's when we stop knowing that we're all alike, every one of us, that's when we get in trouble. As artists, as actors, as humans. And that doesn't just go for us in the business. Us, you, we here.
I love it, she's pointing at us.
It goes for everybody. It goes for the poorest individuals in our society. It goes for the people who have nothing going on. We're all in the same boat. And I'm sorry to just say this, but I'm gonna. What's going on in Canada right now, you guys are so amazingly beautiful people. And our country has got a lot to learn from you. And I wish a lot of
We're willing to teach as the 13th or 14th province. You guys would do really well as I think.
I was just going to say that.
We'll take you on our
wing. But I don't want to, I don't want to get in trouble. But I will say, we stand with you.
Oh, yeah,
and I have no desire for you to be part of us. You're too beautiful. And I think our country has a lot to learn from you guys. So
politics is not one of my strong suits. Peter, maybe so, but
he gets talked about a lot at work, and I'm like,
Anyway, sorry.
No, that's okay. No, it's going to happen. We knew it was going to come up at some point.
Well, it's a big deal. And I think when we're talking about us being just like you and everything, we've got to really say, everybody's just like each other. And that means everybody.
That's why they call it humanity.
Donald.
We're all humans.
Yeah.
That's it. Bottom line. Full stop.
No life is worth more than anything.
No, 100%.
And kind of pivoting off that as well. I mean, I again, we have to do our research and everything. And looking into like someone's background as a media star or person of interest and everything, we look at other things that are going on besides, they were in Star Trek, they were on Robotech, but you've got a little bit of like some altruistic tendencies with your pop culture mosaic. I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. In 2013. I founded Pop Culture Hero Coalition, which is the first ever organization to use these stories from Star Trek, Star Wars, the Avengers, everything, all of these, to teach children mental health and social emotional learning skills. So
I like that idea.
we need to teach.
I like that idea.
We need to teach healthy identity and resilience and self-compassion, how to be kind to ourselves like we would be kind to a friend. So often we beat ourselves up, and we need to learn all of the tools that are necessary to treat ourselves well and to be able to treat each other with empathy and respect and kindness. And so that's what these stories do. You know, it's not just the big space battles that make these stories great. It's the stories of humanity and how we can overcome our challenges. And these heroes teach us to do that. So we're taking these stories into schools, and I am grateful to say the organization I founded is now nationwide.
Wow.
We are the mental health, social emotional learning program for YMCA nationwide in the U.S. That's a pretty big
Wow.
deal. They're the largest youth development program in the world. So one of the greatest honors of being a part of all of this is taking these stories farther. They're not just stories. They become a part of real life.
And what would be the quickest, and you feel free to mention on the video, what would be the quickest way for someone to access this information that of this mental health element?
Thank you. So you can go to popculturehero.org, popculturehero.org. And we also have a Be Kind campaign at bekindmerch.org. And we've had amazing people put our t-shirts on and say, I stand with this message. And that's what helps us raise money for this program, to teach kids these crucial skills. Because we've got to make kindness be
at the forefront.
At the forefront.
Well, it is.
Kindness is cool.
Yeah, exactly. That is, it's huge, because we watch these movies, we do reviews of all this kind of stuff, and we see in a lot of the shows that we watch too, like there's always lessons to be learned, because yes, like you said, there's the space battles, there's the fist fights, there's the knifings, whatever, but there's...
The knifings?
What are you at? No, I'm just...
Daredevil.
Daredevil. First you like Star Wars.
Then he likes knifing.
I don't know.
Distorted,
don't give me the giggles.
Violent tendencies, I'm sorry. But when it comes to these, there's always lessons to be learned from all of these shows. And it's the same thing, like you look at the after school stuff that they always talked about in some of the shows that we grew up watching too, Big Bang Theory, Friends, and all that stuff. Yeah. Because there's a lesson, like there's something behind it. And when it comes to promoting kindness, that's huge. And it needs to be that way. That's part of the reason why everyone is so, we talk about the community for cosplay, we talk about the community for fans and all this stuff, because it needs to be done that way, because we need kindness, we need love, we need all this stuff when it comes out, because it's huge. When we need mental health, there's so much stigma.
One of the things we've mentioned previously as well is that for us in the movie, video game, television world, that is our escape from what sometimes is not the nicest time we're having in our life or whatever. You might just be down, you're like, I'm going to try my favorite movie, I'm going to try my favorite game. It's an escape. And sometimes it's not nice when, you know, the politics of the world, we'll call it for lack of a better term, leeches into those things. And that's when, like, no, get away. This is our thing, right? And that's why we enjoy with the YouTube channel, we do the movies and the television and the video game, because our fans, that's what they enjoy, and they want to know more about it, because it just kind of blocks out anything that maybe going on in their life that's not 100%, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Escape is really an important part of life.
Like, I'm sure there's people who chose on Deep Space Nine and they watches that from start to finish because they had a bad day at the office or whatever, you know what I mean? So there's something to be said for that as well.
It's their comfort, and everyone's got that, really and true. Mine is knifings, apparently.
We're going to be canceled after this video. No, I'm just kidding.
It was fun while it lasted.
It really was. You were doing so well.
Were we? No.
Well,
well, thank you. We're the new Distorted Theorists.
It's pretty distorted. Yeah, you got that part right.
Chase, I think before we clue up our video, we always like to ask if there is. Well, I guess we already touched on your foundation or whatever that helps with mental health. But is there anything, and if not, that's okay, but is there anything in the world of movies, video games, television that maybe you're excited to watch? Like you sit back on a Saturday night and you're like, I can't wait to watch this show. Could be anything. Could be an oldie, could be a newie, could be The Last of Us Season 2 is coming up, for example. I don't know, anything. I
have not been watching a lot of stuff because I'm so busy with the coalition work that really occupies a lot of my time. But I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to.
Fair enough.
The Star Trek cruise. That is the most fun.
Like cruise as in ship?
Ship.
Okay.
That is the most fun a person can possibly have, let me tell you. So I'll be on that in 2026. And also...
as a guest or like a...
As a guest,
okay.
Yeah, as a guest.
So it's like a double whammy. You get a guest and you get a cruise.
Pretty much, yeah.
So for the Star Trek cruise, what is that exactly? Is it a bunch of Star Trek people that are with...
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
okay.
And if you're a Star Trek fan, come on out to STLV in Las Vegas, the Creation Mission. It's always an amazing thing. It's in August, and I'm so looking forward to it.
Is this cruise like
Yeah.
the first one of its kind for Star Trek?
No,
it's
I've
been
done, like,
ongoing. Oh, okay.
15 of them or something.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're really
it's
reaping
not
these
gonna do
benefits.
with
Right? I
space,
see
okay.
you. I see.
It's pretty great. So that I'm looking forward to more coalition work to
Perfect.
save kids' lives.
Obviously,
Mhm.
yeah.
And
yeah.
also to these amazing events where I get to meet you guys, the people who make it possible.
Yeah,
Except
awesome.
him, I don't know.
No more knifings for you. Ladies and gentlemen, and Chase, thank you so much for joining us today for our interview with Chase Masterson and talking about your life, career, your goals, everything that you have going in life. As always, if you want to support our channel, we do appreciate if you would just take a quick second to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. Did you watch Deep Space Nine or any other of her work?
Thank you. And follow me, Chase Masterson. Just
Get that in.
Chase Masterson, or it's Chase Masterson.
Do you have, is that Instagram, Twitter?
Instagram is it's Chase Masterson.
Mhm.
The now nearly defunct Twitter is Chase Masterson, and I think I'm also Chase Masterson on Blue Sky.
I was just gonna say, do we have a Blue Sky variant?
I think it's that.
I'm
I
pretty
think
sure
it's
if you
that.
Google her name, you will find all the socials that you're looking for. Don't worry about it, right?
Thanks.
Right? But with that, I am the real Jussy.
I'm Peter Parkour, and like we always say around here,
Keep it real.